Merry Christmas 2012. I'm Troy Roars, and this is my Christmas lecture for this year. It's called 6 Nativity Stories. As you know, there are two nativity stories in the New Testament, and I will be talking about those plus 4 others, 3 from alternative Gospels and 1 from the Quran. So this is called 6 Nativity Stories. The first part of the lecture is called Nativity versus Passion. Each year, the Christian world celebrates 2 major holidays based on the life of Jesus Christ. There is Christmas in December, or in January in some parts of the Orthodox world, to remember his nativity, his birth, and Easter and Passion Week to remember his passion, death, and resurrection. Nativity is a Latin-based word meaning birth, and in a Christian context, this word nativity refers only to the birth of Jesus Christ in Bethlehem. The actual word for Christmas in several world languages like Portuguese and Spanish actually comes from this word nativity. But the word Christmas itself is of English origin, based on the Divine Greek title Christ with the English suffix "mus" added at the end. In other Germanic languages, the word for this holiday is based on the older pagan holiday, Yuletide, and in German itself, the word for Christmas is Weihnachts, or Blessed Night. The Nativity of Jesus is mentioned in only 4 chapters of the Bible. The first 2 chapters of the Gospel of Luke and the first 2 chapters of the Gospel of Matthew. The first chapter of the Gospel of Luke is an introduction to Mary and Joseph and the announcement of the birth of Jesus. Also, the announcement of the birth of John the Baptist is in this chapter. The second chapter of Luke tells of the actual birth in the manger in Bethlehem. The other 2 nativity chapters are found in Matthew, with the nativity happening in Matthew 1 and Matthew 2 telling the story of the wise men who came from the east to see the baby Jesus, or the child Jesus. Sunday school children around the world memorize the details of the Nativity from these 4 chapters in every language. And these stories remain an important part of our shared Christian culture. The Nativity narratives themselves, however, are quite short. Instead of long, descriptive chapters, Matthew and Luke devote only a cluster of verses to this story. Both Gospel writers report the miraculous birth of Christ as a historical event, and they back up the birth of Christ with key references to actual places and real historical individuals. And ancient tradition, from long ago centuries, has also determined the probable location of Jesus' birth in Bethlehem. There is a church there, Church of the Holy Nativity. But the supernatural overtones of the Nativity story in these 2 Gospels, that would be the traveling star in the Gospel of Matthew and the chorus of angels in Luke, remain unique to the birth of Jesus, or Yeshua bar Yosef, as he was known in his day. And these miraculous overtones are written into these stories as actual historical occurrences. But the historicity of supernatural intervention remains a matter of one's own personal faith. Compared to the sparse details of the Nativity, all 4 New Testament Gospels present considerably more information about the Passion of Christ. There are plenty of historical details in the Passion story, and the key players are even quoted word for word. The Gospels place Jesus' passion and resurrection in the crosshairs of human history by mentioning historically verifiable Roman and Jewish authorities. The ministry of Jesus is also independently mentioned by Josephus, the 1st century Jewish historian who wrote from an imperial Roman point of view and was not a believer in the divinity of Jesus as Christ.